Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. I am back with another chalk paint furniture makeover. I had thrifted this item from a local antique barn for $75. It is an absolutely stunning piece. I had a hard time putting it in a truck with my friend, and then it was even harder bringing it into the house. It's quite heavy, but and beautiful. There are a couple imperfections on it, which I'm sure the chalk paint will take care of. I will be using Chateau gray chalk paint from Annie Sloan, and I will also going to be using the clear glaze from Annie Sloan, not the wax. But for the inside, I will be using Beyond Paint. It's the primer, sealer, and the paint all in one. I use this on my cabinets. I previously used it on that large window that I upcycled, and I just like it because it's pretty much you paint it and you're done. You don't have to primer it, you don't have to seal it after it's all taken care of in that paint. So I painted the inside just to brighten it up, but I only painted the back wall of it. I did not paint the sides because you really cannot see the sides from the window, and I just wanted it brighter on the inside, and I think it's gonna look great when you put certain colors on a shelf. They will pop out more being against the white background. This did take 2 coats, and I did allow it completely to dry between the coats. I did this as a first step because I wanted it to dry while I work on the outside piece, because I knew that most likely the outside will only need 1 coat of chalk paint. So I took off all the hardware, and once all the hardware was off, I taped up the little window, as well as some areas that I wasn't planning on painting. I taped those as well. Originally, this was kind of evolving as I was working on it. Originally, I was going to paint the whole piece, but then I decided that I was going to leave certain areas unpainted and in its original form. So I started off at the top, so that way I can lean up against the piece without worrying that I'm going to get some paint on top of me. I am 5'10", so I was able to reach this, but I could see someone else needing a chair to reach it. So I went with a fairly solid coverage on the outside pieces, but then these accent middle pieces, I just used very little paint and almost dry brushed it, kind of creating an ombre effect in the middle. I really like the way this looks, and then I did the exact same thing on the other side, and then also on the middle piece, on the bottom as well. So the way that works is it's almost like dry brushing the paint on and just going a little bit heavier to the middle, but on the sides not as heavy, but overall not as heavy with the paint. And a little tip, always have a little wet rag on hand if you get the chalk paint somewhere where you don't want it. While it's still wet, it just wipes off. And that is exactly what I did here, because this is the point where I decided that I'm not going to paint the top of the bottom piece. I think leaving that in its original form is going to make it look really nice. I also decided not to paint the legs. And then I took that white rag and I just wet rag, and I just cleaned off the hardware from the paint. And then whatever paint I had on the brush, I added to the piece. And another way that you can create the same effect is to have a wet rag and just wash the paint in by rubbing it around in circular motion. That is what I'm doing right here. Either way can give you the same effect. I did go over with a drier brush there as well, just to add a little bit more paint. I realized as I was painting that these accent little pieces were actually 3 of them were all broken. only one was in its full form, so I just cut the one that was in its full form to the half, like so it matches all the other three, instead of trying to figure out how to match the 3 to the one that was full, because I don't think I could do that. And I really like the accent piece, so I did not want it to remove it. So once that was all finished, I went in and painted the inside again. And I did use a little brush just to get to all the crevices and all the little angles and all the little crevices. So I cleaned off the paint, but I also went, because the paint wasn't dry yet, and instead of waiting for it to dry and sanding it, I just rubbed off a little bit of paint in a couple areas where you would think would be natural dings, like scratches. I just rubbed off that, just creating it more of a rustic look. Then I removed the painter's tape and let the piece fully dry before I applied the clear coat. I also took another clean rag and just cleaned off the piece that I did not paint, just to make sure that it's all nice and clean and there is no dried up chalk paint. And like I mentioned before, the lacquer that I'm using is the clear lacquer from Annie Sloan in matte. So here it is, all finished. I think it turned out absolutely fabulous. I loved the two tones. I loved the dark shelves inside of it against the white. I think once it's all nicely decorated, it's going to look really beautiful in pretty much any space. And my assistant decided to finally wake up. So I hope you had enjoyed this makeover, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're stopping by for the first time. And thank you so much for all of you returning, and I will see you all in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.